Hi, Sahid. Welcome to the show.
How are you, Nia?
I'm
Pleasure to have me.
fantastic.
Thank you for having me. I meant to say.
Pleasure's all mine. I'm very excited about this. I have lots of questions for you, actually, about the whole marketing, innovation, and so on. But before we get there, so let's just, take the bull by the horns. So your slogan, right? Because, just a minute ago you said, I was like, ooh, okay, we're starting right there. So
Thank you.
innovate, connect, and inspire the flower industry through community and innovation.
Yes, ma'am.
I almost butchered that, but
That's
so
good. That's good. I've done it myself, so no
that's a
worries.
lot.
It
That's a
is.
huge undertaking,
It
and
is.
it's a big promise.
Yeah, yeah. It is a big promise, but it's a big
So
try. So you got to try it at least.
absolutely, 100% agree. Why through innovation? I kind of relate to everything else you said. So why is the innovation so important?
Because innovation is thinking outside of the box, right? When I worked
Yeah.
in the flower industry for 17 years, my aspect of the flower industry that I worked with was in distributor aspect. So I worked with wholesalers, farms, distributors as well, and florists as well, but mainly with wholesalers and farms and distributors, and just in the wholesale logistic aspect of it as well. And you just see that
Mhm.
our success kind of was our limitation, because when you're so successful,
Mm.
sometimes it hinders you to say, how do we think of this outside of the box? So when I got involved with the startup community of Miami, which is a fairly large startup community, you start realizing that there's systems and processes and apps and technology that other industries are using: sales funnel, customer persona, business Canva. There's so many innovations on how to do business, and then take that to another level: social media, website design, cool toys that I have all around me that are just fun innovations to the flower industry. So I quit my job and I said, let me jump in here and just be I didn't intentionally become a voice, and that's not my goal, but I said, how do I help people sell more flowers? And the way you do that is by
Mm.
bringing in technology, bringing in other business aspects. We can't continue to just look in our little community of flowers, which is a super creative and fun environment and community, but not look outside to see what other successful industries are doing and how they're innovating. Now let's bring that into our industry and let us learn from them and innovate with it. So I have a little theory of, there's two types of people: the curious type and the judgmental type. Stop being the judgmental type
Mm.
saying that's not going to work, that's a horrible idea. Start being curious and see how it works for them and how it could work for
Right.
you. That's when the whole community and collaboration and technology and innovation comes into play.
Well said. There's a lot to unpack there. So yeah, I 100% agree. It's kind of like the whole way of thinking, right? The mindset is really where it starts from. Whether you think you can or not, you're probably right. So, but that's besides the point. So all that sounds fantastic, right? And like you said, all of us creatives, we're so in tune with the art side of things, with the community, and then I call it the pretty and the fluffy. Great. But I feel like a lot of the florists specifically, and some of the wholesalers as well, are kind of scared of technology, or perhaps don't look elsewhere or outside of our floral little world. And you said something that resonated. It's like, look at other successful industries.
Very important. Very important. Even from
Yeah.
a sales funnel, ask yourself, what's your
Oh,
sales
yeah.
funnel? How do you get that customer that might be interested or doesn't even know about you, and how do you take them through the process of becoming a customer and then becoming an ambassador for you,
Mhm.
right? So if you're not plugging that in, that is a tool for you. That's a simple tool.
Right.
Just use it or touch into it or hire somebody that can build it for you, right? And then when it comes to social media, we saw the growth during COVID. Wow, live Instagrams, as I was telling you earlier. Gosh, what a great way to
Right.
help that collaborate and use other people's audience to focus on you and to talk to them and to learn. And it just, there's so much of
Hmm.
giving both ways, but it just really open your eyes and just look at what the produce industry is doing in some cases sometimes, and that's for
Mm.
me in the distributor aspect. But look at that, look at the fashion industry. I did 10 years in the fashion industry. My wife as well is in the fashion industry. And if you look at the fashion industry, just the way, and our industry, the floral industry, has turned a little bit towards the fashion industry in the way we do our websites,
True.
the way we kind of take our pictures, the way that we're creating. Look at what happened on Fleur de Ville at Bal Harbor. I was there actually filming as well, creating beautiful pieces, fashion pieces out of flowers. So we're taking from the industry. We are unknowingly thinking that we're stealing from them. No, we're learning from them, and we're taking from the fashion industry just the way we do our marketing and things like that. So whenever I sit down with a couple of companies, I work with rose companies as well that I consult, and I tell them, think about the fashion industry. Why? Because they're talking to our target market, 25-year-old to 45-year-old women, right? And they are talking to that market. That's what Chanel is doing, Chloe is doing, Dior is doing. They're talking to the market. Now learn from them, get a tip from them, look what they're writing about. So that's where my passion lies, is looking at what other people are doing right, and let's bring it to our industry.
Funny you're saying that. I totally agree with that. There's this other thing that I've noticed that's been happening more so in the last few years than ever before. And that happened through celebrities, I think, really, is they're taking the flowers into their world, right? How many celebrities in the last 5 years, let's say, came up with spread in Vogue or in InStyle or whatever that is full-on flower extravaganzas, or they're releasing a product that has nothing to do with flowers, and yet there's this massive floral structures and walls, and they're bathing in them and covered in them and wearing them and all this stuff. Makes me so happy, by the way. So it's interesting you're saying this. Yes, we are. I don't agree with stealing, though.
I get it. I guess I'll
taking it away from them. Yes. Like we're getting inspired by that, right? I guess learning from them.
Absorbing it. Yes.
Right. Because it's kind of being given. So maybe I am stealing from them. Who knows?
I'll tell you, I have a saying as well, if I may truly say, is my saying is there's no such thing as copying. There's only the first person that did it. Because social media and our media has allowed so much for us to see that you're not copying anymore. You're just getting inspired. You're getting inspired, and then you're adjusting it to yourself. So I don't mean stealing. I'm sorry for everybody. You're not a thief.
Oh, no. Now that I made you feel so guilty about this. Hang on a minute. No, I'm just kidding. So, but in all reality, though, what do you think that has done for our industry, right? Seeing that response from, really, I see it in celebrities, honestly. And then, of course, that trickles into fashion as well, right? Right now, floral prints are still hot, Of course, graphics are kind of not coming back as you're watching this magazine. Simplicity is coming back. But the floral prints are still part of that. Mm-hmm. And why do you think that crossover happened in the other direction?
In what sense? I'm sorry, I don't get the question.
So florists, floral industry, we're taking away from fashion. Yes. It's so true. And we have been pretty much for a while, some more than others. But what I'm noticing is that now the fashion industry is directly taken from floral industry, right? Just taking it all in, and flower prints, all this stuff. Again, the new designs are more simplistic. We're kind of crossing over in that line of like things being simpler than the Lush and the Garden and whatnot. But that still is very present in the fashion industry right now. The floral and floral prints, or through celebrities, this whole floral shoots and things like that. Why do you think that crossover happened, essentially? Like, how do you think that happened?
So why are they embracing more flowers in the flower culture, I guess, is what you're saying?
Yes. Okay. There you go. Thank you for putting it in English.
No problem. So I think that it was a work in progress. So Dior has always been a flower house, not only a fashion house, but they have been strong in supporting flowers as well. Chanel has also been a big flower house as well, not only through the perfumes, but every year they do certain little flower things. Look at Macy's. Macy's does a flower event, a flower celebration. I've been lucky enough to walk into two Macy's, and there's flowers all over. This is 20 years ago was the first one I walked into in San Francisco. Beautiful, meaning flowers on the walls. It is stunning. I think Jean-Paul Gaultier did a fashion show where he lined all the walls of a beautiful mansion with flowers. So it's been around. Now with COVID, now with all this, flowers are becoming more mainstream. And not only that, it's an emotional impact. And that's what's happening, is that they're seeing, man, we could do so much and attract so much eyes on us. And there's an emotional aspect because it's a living thing. There's a little hashtag I play around with called flower smiles. Why do I play around with it? Because I've never given a flower to somebody and they frown. I've always given a flower and they smile.
That's true.
So flower smiles. You know, I even say flowers and you're smiling. See? So they create smiles, they create emotion, and it impacts you. So they're smart enough to say it. And not only that, HBO, HBO and Netflix are making, I am more inspired now. When I saw the big flower show and the other one as well, and I saw your interview with Sarah, and when I saw those things, it blew me away, because then I realized how they are artists. They're not just designers, how we call them. It's an art, man. So I think these fashion houses are starting to realize that these are true artists, and they're not only and fashion is an art too. So why not mesh them together? You know, why not put them together? And it's just a perfect fit, from flower patterns and embracing flower patterns to putting almost a life on, you know, and creating an emotion onto a textile. Why not use them to decorate your store? Or, you know, I have a couple customers that sell flowers to their customers, and my wife actually works with a company where they're looking for preserved flowers and sending it to their customers, and then they do a collaboration and they put their name on it. So it's about time, but I think it was the time coming. So it was gradually coming. The real creative houses saw it. They kept on doing it. Some of them even have gardens and things like that they sponsor. Now gradually it's starting to become mainstream. And I think that has a lot to do with our media and our digital world. I spoke to, was it Beth O'Reilly? No, Sarah, but not Sarah Campbell, but another Sarah, which is really interesting, from Le Blum. She had a small startup many years ago. And she had said that one of the things is, because of social media and digital marketing and Instagram, it allowed the real designers to talk, right? It didn't allow the top of the echelon, which was like 1-800-Flowers and all these guys, to dictate, right? It allowed the artist to dictate what they were going to do by showing it off. And now they are the ones asking. So no longer is it a group of people saying, this is what we need to sell this month. No, it's what is cool. You know, what it inspires the artist to design.
Right. Funny you say that. In the recent months, when I'm getting phone calls for work, and I only do weddings and special events and things. I don't have a shop. I work out a studio, so I don't really have, daily arrangements or things like that. But I'm getting bombarded with phone calls. I guess, SEO on my website is working, but I'm getting continuous calls. And every time I tell them, hey, I'm so sorry, I only do special events and weddings. And the next question, almost half the time, is, well, do you recommend anybody, and where are you located? And I try to kind of lead them in the direction of a florist that has a shop that I know could do a good job. And I had one this morning, and I said, well, the thing I would recommend you, if I can't find anybody for you, just search the location and find a flower shop, and don't do wire services. And I am continuously getting, oh yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I want to support the flower shops. And it makes me so happy. And these are words that I haven't been getting from clients quite as much, you know what I mean? So it makes me happy to hear that there is a revolution essentially is kind of happening. The whole flower movement is definitely, it's about time for sure. But so let's segment into something slightly different. So you've been in industry for long enough at this point. You've seen a few trends come and go, right? And you've seen multiple transformations that happen through the industry. One thing that is true at least in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and I hope it's changing, our industry is very, very segmented and segregated in the weirdest of the
I love
ways.
that you say that. Yeah, okay.
I think I understand why. The part that I have a hard time with, or perhaps you can shed some light onto this, why knowing this and so many more people are talking about this, and yet we are kind of still in the same boat in many ways.
We're out of it. We're getting out of it, and hopefully we are. So connect, inspire, connect, and innovate the flower industry, right? So through community. So my hope is that we have these conversations. My hope is that the farms start listening to the wholesalers, and the wholesalers start listening to the florists, and the florists start believing in the wholesalers, right? Because there's also that business distrust. There's I'm getting nightmare calls, or people are telling me, look, the customer doesn't understand why they're paying 75 cents for a rose they paid 38 cents in 2019, or 2019 or 20. There's a logistics issue. I guarantee they've told them, but they might not believe them, right? Or they don't want to take it in. It's really having honest conversations, and really listening and understanding that we're better together. We are better together. We're better as a community. We're better working together. We're better putting Beth O'Reilly. I've spoken to her. I'm pretty sure you know her, Beth O'Reilly. I've spoken to her, and she says, "Yes, hey, you're right. We need to understand that if we place our orders earlier, it helps everybody in the channel. It's not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to pay more. And if you do, you're paying for a security, right? You're paying to make sure that you have it. And don't put 100% of your order. Put 50% of your order. But that is going to help the entire system flow. I run NYC_flower market as a passion project myself, because it's a beautiful place with history and super cool. If you've never been, go before it's no longer. But I do a little surveys. No, it's been around for 130 years. It started with 60 wholesalers. Now it's down to 15.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah. So it's crazy, but it's still cool. Super cool place. But so I do some surveys, and I usually do that in a couple of my wholesalers and I usually ask within like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, have you taken care of your Mother's Day orders? I will get 70% of the people say, nope, I'm winging it. And I'll literally ask that question too. Are you winging it or pre-ordering? We're winging it. We're winging it. What happens there is that you bottleneck the industry. You're not allowing people to logistically work and bring in the flowers when they can, and say, okay, we're going to bring it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, I need my order now. So you're bringing in all at one shot. That's what happened with logistics this year. All the trucking companies, which were actually advising at some point, all the trucking companies had a kind of a little bit of a bottleneck. FedEx during Valentine's Day had a bottleneck for all those orders that they were getting out through e-commerce all at one shot. Oh, hey, here's 500,000 boxes. So if you plan ahead and work and collaborate with your wholesaler, with your farms, with your distributors, wherever you're at in that channel, it's going to help everybody involved. And also speak up. Speak up. You want a variety? Speak up. Not just once, not just twice.
Right.
Communicate and collaborate with other florists to speak up. Send an email as a group. I always say, if it's one person coming at a time, it's kind of like a drip, but it's a bunch of people, it's a flood, right? And you have to react to a flood. So get together with your fellow florists and say, hey guys, we want this rose. You gotta have it, my local wholesaler. Have it. And everybody write an email together. Why not get together as a community and communicate? Does that help a little bit?
No, it does. I do see it changing for sure. It just kind of baffles me sometimes still when I see this. Funny thing is, when you said, pre-orders help everybody, while I totally understand that logistically, the whole wing in it also, I get that too. It's like sometimes you pre-order and stuff comes in and it's not really to quality or up to par through some unforeseen events that happen, right? I mean, it not anybody's fault really. So then you end up winging half of it anyways. But I do like the idea of half in it, 50% pre-order, and it leaves you enough room to play, and
And
Yeah.
the minute you understand that flowers are grown, not manufactured, you're not going to panic if 5 of your freaking stems are bad or a bunch is bad. They're not manufactured. You don't get a lifetime guarantee on your flowers because they're organic, you know. So, and I know that that kind of might seem a little callous for me, because I'm the other end of the story, but it's a fact. And I've run into many florists that are completely cool. They do not sell by variety. They sell by color. They sell by palette
That's
tone.
exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it opens up more opportunities to you. You know, you could solve an
Absolutely.
issue. Yeah.
Absolutely. I never sell a particular very specific flower. And if they want a very specific flower, the price goes up. You know why? Because I order from 2, 3 different places to guarantee to get that one very specific bloom that they need for their whatever the event is, right? So I agree. Yeah, mine is always all about the color and the feel and the story. And that's kind of it, you know? And they the it's such a I have this pet peeve. So you look at Instagram imagery or Pinterest imagery, and you're seeing all this really romantic pastel colors, this beautiful photography. I mean, it just looks so breathtaking. But in all reality, all of those flowers, that image has been altered,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yes.
know, through some
A
lens,
little
right?
saturation, a little highlights, a little vivid. Yeah,
Right, through
yeah.
some really skilled photographers to look as such. Nothing wrong with that. But then the brides come in and they want that color. Well, that flower does not come in that color. It's but your photographer, whoever that photographer is, toned down that color. So, let's see who's your photographer. If that's the type of photography they do, then no problem. Understand that your cell phone imagery is not going to match your photographer's imagery. And it's just this constant struggle. So I'm curious, are you guys getting bombarded by florists requesting these colors that are just don't really exist?
So I
They
remember,
exist in photography.
yeah, so I remember 2008, 9, 10, around there,
Right.
Pinterest, right? So Pinterest was
Yes.
our enemy as a distributor selling to wholesalers. They would send me a picture of a rose on a bush. And you're like, that's on a bush. That's a garden rose from some lady in Georgia that's producing these things. And that's one of a kind. You're not going to get it, my friend. And then the poor florist would commit to it. Yeah, no problem. I can do it.
Yes.
So I think it really starts with the florist. It starts with the gatekeeper. And that's
I
me. I'm
agree.
not a florist expert. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job at all. Please, I respect you too much. But if I believe as a salesperson, it's up to me to set the expectation. So if I'm setting the
Mm,
expectation of the salesperson and saying, look, I'm sorry, there may be a chance that I'm not able to get it. What are my options after this? Or, hey, I cannot get it. Is setting an expectation. You're going to have an angry bride, like you just said. I don't understand why. It's education. There's only as much as you can
mm,
do to educate them. The beautiful thing is now you have all these shows educating. But there's only as much as you can do is just to educate them and set the expectation. Because if you say yes to everything, you're going to set yourself up for failure. I believe, but you know better.
mm.
You know better than I do.
I 100% agree. I literally just don't, and if I have a bride who comes in, I'm fortunately financially at a place where I don't have to take every wedding, It's like, yeah, we're not going to work together well enough, right? So it's like, hey, I don't think we're right for each other if they really indeed want to dictate every step of the way, every single shade and a this and a that. No, absolutely not. I don't work like that. And I think more florists are kind of leaning in that direction, really. Part of it is from necessity because you sell this thing and you can't really deliver. It's like, we have a problem, my friends. So, yes, for sure. I am definitely going to use what you said that flowers are grown, not manufactured.
Oh yeah, and that's a
Yes.
slogan.
It's going to become That's going to become can I steal your slogan
Of
and
course you
plaster
can.
it at every correspondence
Yeah.
that goes to my
And I
brides?
didn't make that up, honestly. I've heard it throughout the industry for many years. They're grown, not manufactured. And once we understand that I've had customers. Why can I not get one quicksand? I just need 25 quicksand. what do you want me to do? Press them like a cup? It's not going to happen. The production's not there. The logistics are not there. The weather's
Right.
horrible. The ground is not ready. The plant's not
Right.
ready. It takes about 6 months in some cases for you to produce. It's not overnight.
Right.
So think about just nature, and you know who dictates it all? Mother Nature. You go tell Mother
Mm.
Nature to you make the decisions with Mother Nature and see what happens. So we can't do
Right.
that. We can't do that. And the minute you drop that guard and drop that stress, you're going to drop your
Right.
own stress. And I say that from experience. I've
It
spoken to many different types of florists with different mentalities. So
right. Right. It's so funny that you say in quicksand, it's sort of the florist's kryptonite, and it's the most coveted thing out there because it's such a color that blends in so many places. But within that quicksand, the variation, color variation based on the weather that it's kind of grown in is so vast. Sometimes I'm like, is that a quicksand?
and if the
Maybe
land and the land
it
is
is.
yeah, and if the land's alkaline or not alkaline, and how the weather was and what the
Yes.
altitude was, it's so
Mm.
many aspects. What were
It's
you saying?
just fascinating to me. Yeah, it's fascinating actually. But let's talk about your wheelhouse. So, marketing.
Yes.
Sounds like you sort of stopped, you know, through whole distribution chain. You clearly saw a need, right? That we all are kind of in our little creative world, in our little rabbit holes, and not really seeing it outside of it. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see creative industry makes? I mean, we are part of the creative industry,
I, I think
as
what
far as
go ahead.
marketing.
So I think one of the biggest mistakes is when you hire someone to do your marketing. Let's say you get big enough and you hire somebody to
Mm,
do the marketing. It's the education, because flowers in our
mm,
industry is very difficult to understand. You have to understand flowers to know to speak the flower language for one, and also depends on your target market. So target marketing is
hmm
very important. Understanding who your customer persona is super important. Who are you targeting? Who are you going
right.
after? How are you going to speak to that person? What's your voice? What's your tone? So making the mistake of always saying these beautiful flowers for your mom, you don't know what your target market is there, right? But when you hire an agency of sorts, and you're like, okay, I'm time to grow, and let's say I bring in a VA, you need to spend a lot of time with that virtual assistant in educating them. I've seen many wholesalers and distributors, and that's my specialty as well, even though we consult and mentor florists within the marketing organic growth. But I've seen many of them use silk flowers and say, look at our fresh, beautiful peonies. Why? Because their eye is not trained. And when I built my team out, which we're about a team of 5 people now, when I built my team out, all my time is spent, nope, you need to correct this. You can't use this picture. This is not in season. So you need to really keep an eye on them to
Mm,
really be able to communicate correctly on your product, your vision, your tone, and the flowers, especially, because if you leave them carte blanc, you're going to get a bad rose in there. You're going to get a wilted bloom.
right.
So you need to really create a process of quality control for your product. So send me a monthly, and then you yourself, but your florist, but when I'm talking to other type of customers, is make sure that they're not using stock images. Make sure that, and if they are using stock images, that might not look stock images, or that the stock images are correct, that it's a real flower that you actually grows. So it's really keeping a handle of your VA. I think could be one of the biggest mistakes I've seen a lot of florists do when they grow. They're excited, they have the
Mm,
money, they're so busy doing everything else. Then they bring in a VA, and that VA is inexperienced in the flower industry.
mm.
That's
So
what I say.
true. Well, it's just like hiring any other staff member. VA is not a, I kind of think of that as a hiring a staff member, really.
Yes, that's what it
If
is.
you, yeah, brought them on board and told them, okay, go do your thing without any guidance, well, you're going to get the best work they can produce without any guidance. And that's not necessarily going to be up to par. Totally agree. If you have one advice to give, for florists specifically, who are, okay, fine, I have this business, I want to start doing digital marketing. It just feels like that is the biggest kryptonite for florists, really. I want to do this digital marketing. Where do I begin?
So one, if we're talking about a platform, I would recommend as of now Instagram, and the reason being because there's so
Hmm.
much potential within Instagram to create a voice, be an authority, speak, doing polls. There's so much to do, but start small. Just take a picture of your product, but where to begin is just start, right? Is start taking pictures, start producing, you do an arrangement, take a picture of it, do a reel. Reels are doing amazing right now. The reach of a reel is very, very good. So do some reels of back of the house. Don't, like we spoke earlier, don't be afraid of perfection. Just be authentic with yourself and show your personality and just jump in. Don't worry about where to begin. Instagram, I recommend it because it seems to be one of the easier platforms to do. Another thing is make
Hmm.
sure to if you do not have an Instagram handle by now, make sure to grab it. Instagram and anything like TikTok, which I heard you speaking to Sarah the other day, which is an amazing, I love that interview. It's think about all these platforms as territory, as land. When America was free and people ran around putting flags down, think of it think of it as a piece of land. The quicker you get your territory, the quicker that territory is
Right.
bigger. The quicker you take advantage of that organic growth, like Facebook, and then they start charging you. But the quicker you take advantage of that organic growth, so get on TikTok. I'm 100% with Sarah as well. As get on TikTok as fast as possible. But if TikTok's intimidating to you, start wetting your feet at least with Instagram. Post your pictures every
Hmm.
other day. I kind of have a recipe, and I'll try to say it real quick. Is do 20 likes a day, post 1 to 2 posts a day, and do one story a day. And even share. The one thing I always say is that we have this thing called I hate to say the word, but kind of like the arrogance of Instagram and social media, right? So if a customer tags you on it or says hello to you, or anything like that, you're like, oh, I'll get back to that later. No, jump on that as fast as possible because engagement is so important. And what I'm doing with
Hmm.
NYC_flower market is um it's a community based. It's all user generated content, right? All of it's user generated content. And what I'm doing is using them and putting them on stories. And stories are amazing. So if you have a
Mm.
customer that tags you on a picture or something like that, and you don't think it fits your feed, put it on your story because guess what? They'll reshare it again on their story. So then you're getting much more traction because it's so easy to reshare a story. All you do is go to your message, share a
Right.
story, and you share it. My engagement rate has increased by about 25%. It's crazy, meaning the interaction rate, right? The interaction rate on not engagement rate, but my interaction rate has increased of my content by that, and that all goes into the whole formula. So creating stories and
Mm.
just jumping into Instagram, I think, is a great place to first start, unless you like Facebook. I'm a little there
Right.
here, even though they're the same company, but I'm a bigger fan of Instagram. There's so many tools to play with.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, Sarah's interview was not intended to be, let's
A TikTok
push
push.
TikTok. It just kind of ended up becoming that because there's such a need for it, I think, for that message to come across. And I 100% agree. I mean, it's such an untapped market for florists. I mean, I'm 41, I sit back here and I'm like, honestly, what I was thinking is TikTok is for 15-year-olds, or occasional grandmas who want to dance with a 15-year-old. I mean, I was arrogant about it, because I never explored it. And then as I started kind of exploring it, I'm like, huh, this is kind of fun. It's a rabbit hole. It's a fun
It's a
one.
rabbit hole,
And yes, it is.
yeah.
It is. But it is an untapped market for sure. And I agree. I mean, right now they're entertaining the whole TikTok business side of things. So soon enough, that whole free organic reach will start dying down. I mean, you'll probably will relate to this, right? It's the greatest marketing scheme.
Yeah, it's
Facebook
amazing.
has done it. Instagram is doing it. TikTok's gonna do it. Everybody does it, right? You give them a little sample or a little taste of the goods, and then you go, all right, you want more? Great. Now
Yeah,
you got to pay for it.
exactly. You show them a little success, and they're like, "This is amazing. I'm so good at this." They're just making it easy,
Yes,
and then they start putting
yes,
hurdles, and you
absolutely.
have to pay up and pay the bill. And that's why I'm another thing is reels. Reels right now on Instagram, we get 3,000, 4,000 views on our reels. Jump on your reels, and we're talking about
Right.
also social media. But one thing that really works, and talking about more localized floors, is Google My Business. Use Google My Business as a social media platform in the sense of post every day. If you post more than your competitor, they're going to see you more and rank you higher. So if you're active on Google My Business,
Ooh.
oh yeah, if you're active on Google My Business and you do a review campaign, you push reviews, you answer your reviews, you intentionally focus on Google, and a great idea is do a QR code. Create a QR code. They're very easy. There's free QR code creators, and it's a Google review. You could do it on your business card, or you could have a nice little pretty sign. Please give us a Google review. They scan it. They go to your Google review. They give you a Google review, and you give them a free flower or whatever you want to do. You could do a promotion, or you could do it just to ask for them. Google My Business is
Right.
amazing. I've had great success with Google My Business, but staying
Huh.
active on it. Do events, do promotions, do offers. There's so many tools that Google review, and it's so easy to use. Do not be intimidated by it.
And it's free.
Super free. It's you don't have to do AdWords.
Yeah.
I don't spend a penny on
It's
AdWords,
free.
and this is a cool thing. So organically, first on Google Review, you had the locals, right? So you'll have an ad,
Right.
then you'll have a local.
And a
On the local,
local,
you usually have
correct.
3 or 4, right? And then underneath is the organic SEO work. But here, it's that
Right.
local stuff. That's what people first see if they're in the local community, right? And they're not looking for a wire
Right.
service. So if you can get in here in 1 or 2, 3, you're before everybody else here. So I have some customers that they're here and they might be all, in the 7th because we're still working on their SEO. And I have some that are number 1. But anyways, it's right here. This is the money. This is the money pot right here. It's
Right.
free, but it takes work. It takes intentionality.
So, Sahid, you can drop the mic, my friend.
Thank
I
you.
just learned something. I mean, you learn something every day, but I never thought about Google past reviews. Reviews, of course. I mean, I run a dental practice and it's continuously like reviews. I get the importance of that. Haven't thought about being active as in like posting like imagery and things like that, treating it like a social media. That's gold. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And one
I'm
tip.
like, what? Why didn't I think of that?
And one tip, make sure to change your, and I hope my competitors aren't watching, but make sure to change your file name. So use keywords on your file name. So let's say you have a peony bouquet arrangement, Miami, the florist, and you put as much keywords as possible because Google is going to look it up. And when someone in your area is looking for peony bouquets, let's say, peonies are hot right now. So peony bouquets, you're gonna pop up in the pictures now too. So instead of just popping up on that, you're gonna who doesn't love to go to put peonies and then go to images and then go through it.
Right.
You're gonna pop up on those images as well. So we've had cases that we've been seen 50,000 times on an image. That is viewing. Those are eyeballs on you. 1% of 50,000 or 0.0. I'll take it. I'll take it.
My God, thank you for dropping the second golden nugget over there. It's much like the alt image description on your website, the greatest SEO hack. Everybody thinks it's all in the keywords in the description of your copy, but it's the back end. It's like how you describe that image on the back end is what really does it. And I mean, they all do. I mean, it's a combination of things, but never thought about renaming the image file itself for Google purposes. So amazing. Thank you.
Oh.
All right. Okay. Well, you know what? This was gold.
Awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I'm like seriously blown away by the fact that I never thought about Google as such, meaning like treat as a social media. I think that's amazing. Change in file names, honestly. Yes. Thank you for dropping that golden nugget.
Be intentional. If you can do it every day, I have my VAs doing it every day for some of my people. Just be intentional with it, and you'll see it. It'll pay through, and you can see the analytics. The analytics will show you if it's working.
Fantastic. Oh my God. Thank you. Well, On that note, before we go away, I do want to talk about EMC because this is how we sort of connected through
Yes,
EMC, really. They're having their first ever live event, well, virtual live event, and you're one of the speakers.
yes,
Congratulations.
very much.
And yeah, I'm very excited. I'm actually going to be emceeing a panel along with Christy. So I'm very excited about it as well. But yeah, do tell. First of all, why did you say yes to the offer?
Innovative, right? Integration, thinking about outside of the box. When I first spoke to them, I said, "This is awesome because you guys are looking outside and you're talking to distributors, you're talking to other people in the industry and other industries as well, and bringing them in. This is what I've been preaching for 2 years. Whatever I can do to help you." So we're working in many different ways together. So I did say yes to that, and to tell you the truth, I'm a little nervous because it's one of my first presentations, but I'm excited because it's really about talking about collaborating and how to use technology to collaborate, build your network, and grow your business. Right. So just like I said, right now we're building. I taught you something, and I'm very proud of that. I'm honored. But because we're
I am so
collaborating,
excited. You have no idea.
because we're collaborating and we're networking, and you're asking the questions, and I really want to explain how we can do that as a community, how we can do more of that, and how there's no such thing as competition if you drop those boundaries. And the other thing is that your florist world is not only in your city. The floors are all over the country, all over the
Mm,
world. So why not collaborate with other people all over the world and all over the country? And we have technologies to do that nowadays, and everybody benefits together. Look at you. You're in another state. We're collaborating. Why? Because we have podcasts,
right.
So we have squad, and this
Yeah.
is a collaboration. We're collaborating. We're talking together. We're networking. You could do that. You could rinse and repeat. You could really learn from that, and from there you could build your network, learn, and build your business as well, because we all want to grow, right? So I'm super excited about
Oh,
that. I'm really
absolutely.
happy they asked. Really happy they asked us to be on board.
I'm very excited they did. I'm very excited that you and I crossed paths in this way. Like I said, I mean, this interview was very eye-opening. It was interesting. It was very innovating. It was inspiring. It was definitely collaborative. So you nailed it.
And thank you so much. That's like coming from you with all the amazing, amazing people that have been doing so much for our industry. For you to say that to me, that's give me goosebumps. And thank you. It's an honor to be here today and with all your audience as well. So thank you for listening, and thank you for having me. It's really an honor. It's
Oh,
really amazing for me.
my, yeah, no, my absolute pleasure. And Sahid, before we part ways, I'm sure, at this point they all know how to find you and where to find you. But just, if you don't mind sharing where the people can find you, if somebody's interested in your consulting services or, in marketing services and so on, it seems like you guys are offering, you know, huge amount of value for our industry,
Thank you.
So yeah, where can they find you?
So New Bloom Solutions. So new as a new flower, bloom as a blooming flower, and solutions is plural.com. You could find me. You could also find me on Instagram, New Bloom Solutions, LinkedIn under Sahid Nahim. I'm kind of the only Sahid Nahim in the flower industry, so I'm pretty easy to find. As well, if you just want to check out and you can connect with me because I kind of run it as a personal project, NYC underscore flower market, which is a lot of fun, and check it out because there's so much history there, and beauty as well, and it's the community of New York kind of supporting it. So the floral community of New York supporting it. So check that out. And then if you want to speak about the industry, understand the other side of the industry, go to my website. I do free 30-minute consultations just as a way to get back and network. So schedule a meeting through my Calendly, click on the schedule meeting, and a pleasure for me to meet new people anywhere you're at, and talk about any questions you might have, from social media to website design to just the industry and understanding how it works and why didn't I get my flowers, what is happening. I've had those calls, believe it or not. So I'm willing to sit down and just walk you off the ledge and explain to you the other side without
Very
having
nice.
any benefit from it. So maybe you'll believe me. So without really having any benefit,
Right.
because I'm not gaining anything from it, I'm just walking you off the ledge and allowing you to understand that their perspective. So feel free to reach out, and it would be my pleasure.
Very nice. Thank you so, so much. And You guys can also sign up for the EMC Go Live event that's happening in June. We'll have all of the links in the show notes where you can actually see his presentation in depth about the topics we just discussed. Well, thank you, my friend. This was wonderful.